Hey, welcome to Get to Know Our Member series. My name is Paola Miani, and I'm the founder of the Sustainability Transformation Community. I'm going to have a 15-minute chat with 10 sustainability champions in this series. They are members of this community, and the intention is to get to know them, learn from them, and to find out more how peers around the world approach, communicate, and deploy sustainability in their organizations. In this episode, I'm going to interview Marta Javaloys. Marta is the founder of Impact.lab. She will tell us a little bit about that. Previously, she worked at BBVA Bank in design strategy, service design, and innovation roles. She will share her motivation in driving sustainability for transformation and a practical example of how she managed to put the planet as a key stakeholder in one of her workshops. Marta Javaloys. Thank you for your support in this initiative, Marta, and we would love to learn a little bit about you. So why don't we start by knowing, what you do, where you are, and tell us a little bit about you.
Okay, so thank you so much, Paola, for inviting me to this space. Let me introduce myself. My name is Marta Javaloys. I'm from Spain, but I currently live in Mexico City. I am trained in economy and design. I am a painter. I have painted since I can remember. And I have developed my career in the innovation and design space. I have always worked at the intersection of creativity and business. And I have specialized in strategic design, specifically in sustainability at the last period. So a few months ago, after many, many years in the corporate space, I decided to start developing my personal practice. And I founded Impact.lab.design to put my skills and my expertise at the service of sustainable transformation, which is the reason we are having this conversation.
Fantastic.
So I don't know if you want me to share a little bit about my process, why I decided to found the practice, or what I'm currently doing.
Yes, please.
Okay, so to me, Impact.lab.design is the result of, I would say, long personal process of reflection that started during the pandemic, which I think is a period that gave us, or many, the opportunity to reflect around what we were doing and what our day-to-day was. And I started asking myself questions such as, how can I find joy and flow in my day-to-day, dedicating time and energy to what I love the most? It's a time where our ways of working were totally disrupted. We shifted to remote. So that became for me a very important question, finding joy and flow in my day-to-day. Also, what could I do to have a greater contribution, to have a positive impact in society? And is there a way I can balance these two challenges while paying my bills? So I started this personal reflection process, and I worked with Ikigai, which I think, if I'm not mistaken, we spoke about.
Yes, we did.
Ikigai. So for those who are not familiar with the concept, I'm going to very briefly introduce it. It's a Japanese concept that somehow answers the question of the reason why you wake up every morning. So it has 4 elements. One is what you love. The other is what you're good at. The third one is what society needs. And the fourth one is what you can be paid for. So I started asking myself these questions, and I answered them. So in my case, what I love is creativity. What I believe I'm good at is facilitating change. What I believe the world needs is sustainable transformation. And finally, what I can be paid for is education and facilitation. So to make a long story short, Impact.lab.design is the result of this personal reflection, and it's my ikigai. So currently I am balancing consulting, teaching, and volunteer work. And I am focusing on two lines of work. The first one is more academic. It concerns the challenge of how can we embed sustainability into the design practice. So from that part, what I'm doing is I am designing tools and processes to activate sustainability. And I am doing this involving other practitioners because I believe that the quality will be much better. And I'm also interested in driving adoption. So my vision is to develop tools that will be digital, public, and easily accessible so that any person, individual, or organization can use them. And I take this space as an opportunity to share more about this initiative and invite members of the community to explore what we can build together to create positive change.
Fantastic.
So that's one line of work, and the other line of work is more practical. It involves connecting with the sustainability ecosystem and circular economy to do two things. One is supporting organizations that are already working on existing ventures within sustainability and circular economy, and also driving partnerships to accelerate collaboration.
Right. Wow. Sounds exciting, and I love the story about Ikigai and how you connect all the sort of your passions, what you're good at, what the world needs, and sort of came up with this great approach. And actually, I'm sure people in the community will be interested in learning more about it and participate in the initiative that you just mentioned that will help organizations to understand how to embed sustainability into the DNA. And sort of just to let people know as well, we are already collaborating, creating a design process that has sustainability embedded into it, and it will be great to have, as you said, more people sort of bringing some feedback and testing it and iterating it with some of the organizations that probably you are working in and would like to sort of test and get involved in. So
that's the
yeah, so that will be very exciting if the community can get involved, and yeah, looking forward to that. So definitely your introduction helped us to understand how you end up interested in sustainability transformation. And do you have any story, any experience in the past on embedding the planet as part of a key stakeholder in the process, or even just starting with what are your thoughts about that? What does that mean for you?
Yeah, when you shared the question, I started thinking about a practical example,
Mm-hmm.
and specifically a space where I failed, because I think it's more, well, I failed in part. I also learned, and I think it's an interesting example, hopefully, to share with others, because I think sharing these experiences of failure or learning, if you want to see it the other way, is richer. I have one specific experience where I was working a few months ago with a startup that was interested in exploring opportunities in the sustainability space. So when I started speaking with them and designing the exercises of the workshop, I was sure that I wanted to do something that incorporated, this notion of having the planet as key stakeholder, which is not that common, or at least in my experience, is something quite novel. So what I wanted to do was to do an exercise to identify stakeholders and then do an empathy exercise. And now I realized that it was quite progressive for some audiences, to empathize with the planet, thinking about what does the planet need, what is the planet expecting from us. That kind of thinking is not common for all audiences. So when we asked them to identify key stakeholders, we assumed that automatically they would identify planet as key stakeholder. But it didn't happen. So that forced us to redesign what we had, what we wanted to do in the workshop. So my first lesson was kind of a reminder of the importance of confirming your key assumptions before the workshop. Something that I had done in many cases was, for example, designing a very quick online survey to get to know your audience, confirm those assumptions based on what you are designing the workshop to make sure it makes sense for the audience. In this case, we didn't do that, so we needed a plan B. So what we did is we redefined the objective and we redesigned a new exercise. And the results to me were pretty amazing. So what we did during the break, with the facilitators and the client, we redesigned the objective and we defined it as, from now on, it had to be crystal clear for everybody that when they did an exercise that incorporated stakeholders, they had to take into account planet as key stakeholder. But in this case, we needed to go a step back. So what we did is we changed the agenda. We introduced a new exercise to visualize, to map, and to visualize if nature affected the current business model and how. So we divided the audience into groups and we asked them to fill two very high-level maps that we had prepared. One was the customer journey map and the other was the value chain map, which they were already familiar with. And what we wanted to do was to visualize how nature ecosystem services directly or indirectly affected the startup business, and vice versa also, how the current startup business is impacting nature. So we mapped that, and after that exercise, we asked them to work on a future scenario, which is very plausible, and it concerned what would happen to those maps, to the value chain, and to the customer journey map if there was crisis. If the scenario was nature goes out of business, and that meant there was a crisis that affected pricing of the natural resources they were already buying. So that was the new input, and they had to visualize what would happen in that scenario. I think it's very plausible because we have already seen examples like gasoline, electronic chips, and that sounded like very not so plausible for them when they did the exercise. They really saw the effects in their day-to-day business. Mm-hmm. So I love the results and the process of seeing how people became conscious, of the fact it's something so obvious. Planet is your key stakeholder. Yeah. For, I would say, almost the majority of businesses, especially in the physical world, but also in the case of even digital services. But people are not taking that into account when they do design exercises or strategic exercises. Yeah. So have them become conscious and stating that upfront from the beginning was game-changing for them.
Fantastic. So that's a great learning, and also a great simple way really to sort of start discussing, with everyone, with the team, what does that mean? What does that mean to put the planet as a key stakeholder? So is, with the exercise that you just mentioned, is easy for them to sort of map out in what parts of the business they require anything that comes from the planet directly or indirectly, and how the lack of that could impact their entire business model. So I think that's so brilliant, and I love the story. I think is something that, as you said, it requires facilitation and ask the right questions, and also the tools that you said that you're working on, like creating some canvases, some toolkits that people can easily use to guide the conversation, to guide the facilitation process. And I think when people realize that impact, there is a click that change in their behavior, because they don't know what they don't know, and only when they go through the process, it's like, oh my god, everything that we do really impact, is impacted by the nature, and also we impact, the nature in the end. So I love the story.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah,
Anything else? Any last thoughts before closing the call? What would you like to get out of this community? How do you think the community could help you?
Well, I was sharing a few minutes ago this line of work I have that concerns co-designing tools and methodologies. I think it would be great to identify people that are already working in that space, that concerns embedding sustainability into current design practices and methodologies. And I really look forward to delivering practical tools. Instead of being academic, I think it's critical for those tools to be related with their day-to-day activities. So identifying people that would be interested in working on that would be awesome. And apart from that, I think that identifying people that share interests and are in the same journey is so beneficial, because you can do peer-to-peer support, give feedback, feeling connected to others that are in the same journey as you are, even if they are in a totally different part of the world, can bring huge benefits to each one of us and to the community and evolve the practice. And who knows, maybe identify future potential collaborations on specific projects. But we're open for exploration.
Yeah, fantastic.
The important thing is to start the conversation, to create the space, and then it will start, evolving in a very natural way.
Yeah, I totally believe that the power of doing things together, it's enormous. So as a sustainability champion myself at Lloyd's, for me it was key to find to build a community around my purpose, or we share purpose and passion about this, and sort of identify who are those change makers in the organization from completely different parts of the business that are also trying to make change, to make it happen, to embed sustainability. And so I know the journey is difficult. It is, takes time and a lot of resilience. So I think the community could be a great place to even just share, I'm frustrated because I try XYZ for X amount of months and nothing seems to work, and just getting that emotional support is also very good. So yeah, looking forward to see how these develop. Thank you very much for your time, Marta, and yeah, looking forward to get in touch and continue collaborating.
Thank you, Paola.
Thank you. Bye.